How's everybody doing? This is Craig Morton with AZ & Associates Real Estate Group, and I help happy people buy and sell homes. And today I want to introduce my friend Army Todd. So, Army Todd, you're a new husband. I was at your wedding. It's beautiful.
6 weeks ago yesterday.
6 weeks ago yesterday. Cool. How you guys got married in Oklahoma?
Oklahoma, just outside of Oklahoma City. On my wife Beth on her family farm in Tuttle, Oklahoma.
Very cool. Very cool. You were an Army veteran.
Yes, sir.
Combat veteran.
Yes, sir.
And your mission is to educate people on their financial future.
Yes, financial security. What we do is we try to help people plan for their future and not just save money for no reason. One of the biggest mistakes I see in the business that I'm in is people try and save with no plan. And if you're saving with no plan, what are you saving for?
Exactly.
So what we try to do with people is sit down with them, make sure that we have a plan on what their goals are, and we tailor a plan to each individual client to their individual goals, so that when they do get to retirement, we know what we're going to do with that money and how that money is going to work for them.
Cool, cool. Okay, one of the things I really want to get into, you were in the Army and you were planning on a career, your entire career in the Army.
That's right.
And you got forced retired?
Yeah.
How tell me about that.
Well, so I've been an athlete my entire life, and you know, any athlete will understand this, but once you're an athlete, you're always an athlete, and you can't quit.
So
I'm a competitor, and,
nice.
And even in my old age of 36 years old, I still go out and play softball and soccer and basketball all the time. Well, in 2009, I was playing softball, and fields were really hard. Long story short, I slipped, fell, broke my arm, went to the doctor, needed surgery. The doctor completed the surgery, and it was a bad surgery. One surgery led to 11, and when I came back to work, and started working, and my first sergeant, my boss, called me into the office one day and he said, "Hey, Kessler, we got some news for you. You got orders." And I was like, "Really? What kind of orders?" And I knew I was due to move duty stations and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, the doctor sent in orders for your medical retirement. They say that you're not fit for duty. Next Friday's your last day at work." And I was very fortunate, you know, I got a pension and my benefits, and they treated me as if I had done 20 years. I had done 10 years, 1 month and 6 days, not that I was counting, but I had done over 10 years, so they considered me a career soldier and let me keep my retirement benefits.
Cool. So mentally and emotionally, like that had to have took a toll on you. I mean, like your whole plan and what you'd been working for, that just kind of got like
demolished,
thrown out into, you know.
Yeah, I was crushed.
So what did you do?
So, you know, I try and keep a different mindset than a lot of people that I know, and the mindset that I try and keep is you control your own destiny.
Right.
And, you know, so I didn't have control over that, and clearly my career as a soldier was going to be over, and I didn't have a choice in that. But I wasn't going to let that bring me down. Was I crushed, and were my feelings hurt, and did I feel like I had lost everything I worked for? Yeah, but I still knew I was going to be successful, and I knew I was going to do that because I always kept a successful mind state, and I kept successful people around me as well.
So you kind of had to realize that you were capable of more?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I knew I was capable of more, and I think we all are. Yeah. We're all capable of more, but you know, where my mindset is the Army and being a soldier is what I wanted, and I lost that. So yeah, that crushed me, but I knew I was capable of more, so now it was just figuring out what I was going to do and who I was going to be and how I was going to get there.
Yeah. Back to the financial planning, that sort of thing. I always thought, and I was fortunate enough to meet you because our wives are nurses together, and that friendship had kind of flourished, and then you know, we became really close. And but I never really thought about financial planning because I'm not loaded, and I always thought that you had to be like rich to have a financial planner, or have somebody that's, you know, going to help you invest or something like that. And I learned a little different. Where did your passion come from? Like, what made you kind of really love the teaching aspect of it? Because that's what I love about you, is like you never pushed anything on me, but you taught me how important it is, no matter if you're you know, you make $10 an hour or you're making $1 million a year, there's a lot of importance to planning for your future, and not just for you, but for your family and stuff like that. Where'd your passion come from?
You know, so to touch on the first part of what you asked, the biggest misconception in our business is the fact that people think, oh, only the rich or the wealthy have a financial advisor.
Right.
I'm not affluent enough to have a financial advisor.
Sure.
That couldn't be further from the truth. Everybody needs somebody to help them plan for their retirement.
Sure.
You know, are there people out there that can do it on their own? Yeah, they're called day traders, and
right.
that's 1% of our population probably. And I don't know, I'm making that number
right.
up, but very few people have the knowledge to take care of their own finances and retire for their future.
For sure.
So that's a big misconception. You do not need to be wealthy. You know,
right.
Like I said earlier, we plan for each individual's tailored goals.
Right.
You know, so we want to sit down with you and figure out whether you make $1 million a year or whether you make $40,000 a year. We want to set a plan for you to help you save and grow your money and invest your money to grow.
Yeah.
That's best fit for you.
Yeah.
And the reason I have such a passion for this is, you know, it's a real simple story. I actually got my foot in the door in this business. I was finishing college, and the day I took my last final, I needed a drink, so I went to a little local watering hole and had a cocktail, and you know, I knew everybody there.
Sure.
You know, it's like my cheers. And I ran into my buddy Matt, and my buddy Matt's like, "Oh, congratulations, you're graduating college. What are you going to do now?" And I said, he's like, "You know, you spent all this time in the Army, you get out of the Army, you bust your butt and go to school. What are you going to do now?" And I said, "You know, that's the hardest part. I'm still not sure."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "I think I want to be in sales, but I'm not really sure to what capacity, because I just don't want to go sling air conditioners or something like that." Sure. And he looked at me and said, "You know, Todd, I think you'd be a great fit at our company. Why don't you come down, you can interview with our boss, you interview him just as much as he interviews you, and see if it's a good fit for you." And I said, "That's great, Matt, what do you do?" And he told me, he says, "I'm in financial security and insurance." And I said, "Okay, you know, that seems, I know some people who make some pretty good money in insurance. It doesn't seem like a bad gig," but I didn't know a whole lot about it. And same thing with the financial advisory position, you know. So I went ahead and I went to the interview, and I got hired basically on the spot, and the job was just a perfect fit. And so the manager that hired me, John Massey, looked at me and said, "All right, here's the next steps. You have a couple licenses you have to get before you can come to work." And I said, "No problem, let's do it." And he said, "All right," he gave me the details, what I needed to do, where to study, blah, blah, blah. And I did it. And at the time, I had a day job. I just finished school, and I also bartended at night to make ends meet. And I worked all night one night, and then had my first test scheduled for the next day. And I woke up the next morning after working all night in the bar. Woke up the next morning, and my sister rushed in the house and told me my father had passed away. And long story short, my father lived in West Virginia, where I'm originally from, and I had to go back and handle his estate, what estate there was, and you know, bury my father. Well, I got there, and my father didn't have life insurance.
Yeah.
He didn't. You know, he wasn't a very affluent man. You know, he lived in the hills of West Virginia. Was just a very simple man. Lived a lot off the land, and so he just didn't have a lot of money to his name. Well, I wasn't making a whole lot of money myself, so I left on that trip with about $800 in my pocket to last me 2 weeks, and I spent every penny I had there, every single penny I had, on burying my father, on getting a plane ticket to get there, on eating while I was there, and just trying to take care of myself. And I learned how important it is to plan for your future and make sure that you have life insurance in place to make sure that you're planning for your future and those burdens aren't left on your loved ones that you leave behind. And having a retirement plan and leaving a legacy. You know, my father literally left me $17. And, you know, those things are very important to me. And I saw, it made me realize how important it was when I was standing in a funeral home trying to figure out how to bury my father. on a budget because I had $800.
Right.
And that's all I had.
Yeah.
And I still had to eat for 2 weeks.
So it's not even just about retiring. It's about, just making sure that when something, a tragedy happens, your family's taken care of.
Yeah.
So Todd, you walk into the hospital to go bring Beth dinner or lunch, right?
Yeah.
In the middle of the day, you bring her coffee or something like that. And you get in the elevator and there's a random person in there and they're like, "Hey, how you doing today?" And they kind of look at you and you can tell they're, they want to have a little conversation. What's your elevator pitch?
I tell them that I'm in financial security
Uh-huh.
and I help people grow and protect the wealth that they've earned and accumulated over their lifetime. And we do that through planning for each individual. Like I told you
Uh-huh.
earlier, we set up an individual tailored plan for each individual.
Right.
And the most important part and first step of any type of retirement plan is let's get life insurance in place to protect the assets that you've grown and built and bought for your family over time,
Right.
and protect your family so that if something catastrophic were to happen
Right.
to you, you have a plan in place that they're taken care of.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Yeah. You want to protect them and their family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. One last question. What's your morning routine?
I wake up every morning, I drink water, I get a protein shake, I get ready for my day, I go to my office, I dedicate my first hour of every day to self-improvement, so I read about my trade.
Love it.
I want to make sure that I'm bettering myself and getting better and
Right.
perfecting my craft every day, so I spend a half hour to an hour doing that, and then I do paperwork, and then I actually start my work day with my clients at 9 a.m. and we go to town.
Cool. All right. Well, I appreciate you inviting us into your awesome home.
Love you,
And love you. If anybody has any questions, call Todd. His information's below. And yeah,
And don't forget to call Craig because he helps happy people buy and sell homes.
every day. All right,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Talk to you later.